Hey guys, well I wanted to give you a walk around the Jeep here now that the Derby is over with. If you guys have watched the video, you can see that we didn't last very long. Unfortunately, a few things happened, which I'll get to. And the Jeep's still pretty solid. It held up pretty good, all things considering. So, just give you a walk around here. Front bumper held on quite nicely. I did make a few hits with the front end, so pretty happy with how straight it still stayed and really didn't bend at all. So we're planning on putting it on the town car back there and hopefully trying to get a couple runs out of that. So we got the bumper here. The hood stayed in place really nicely. Front end did come up a little bit just from the fenders getting pushed in, but not much damage there. Lots and lots of mud. If you guys watched the video, that was very muddy that day and pretty miserable, I have to admit. Just really cold and rainy all day. Lots of mud, and it was just I was just pretty much ready to race the Derby and get on our way back home. So, you know, stuff like that happens. So walking around, I took a couple good shots to the passenger door, as you can tell. Hopefully maybe from the back you can see it a little worse. But it pushed it in pretty good, as well as the back fender here. Creasing job seems to have held up quite well. Tailgate here did get pushed in pretty good in the corner. Hopefully this is translating well in the video. Coil did start, the spring here did start to separate and fold up, which kind of was expecting, but I didn't expect it to happen quite that soon. A little bit of separation of body panel. But if you look at it from this view, you can see how far the body was pushed in versus to where it was beforehand. You guys saw the video, it was pretty well flush with that rear tire, and it's in quite a ways now and pretty well twisted. Definitely not straight anymore, which in a lot of ways I'm happy about. You know, I just want to go out there and have a good time and bend some metal, so it was pretty cool. The back bumper obviously wasn't much for strength, but we left it on anyway and pushed up nice and tight against the tailgate, and the tailgate's still pretty solid and was the welds held, so that's good news as well. See if I can look up here. Got a little bit of water still from the other night. Did bend up my panels pretty good. Twisted the rear frame here. Not too much of a shocker, I have to admit. I expected it to fold there, as well as started to fold a little bit here. So not much to look at inside. If you guys look how far my passenger door came in, though, that was pretty straight down from where that bar, the safety bar, was. So that's how far that side panel came in. I expected it to come in, but I have to admit I wasn't thinking quite that much. And I'll get you a better look of the driver's door here in a second. Keep walking around. Just kind of a peek underneath. My all thread did get ripped off of the rear end, which I also was expecting, but it happened a little sooner than I would have expected, but that's okay. It worked well enough to get the back end bending upwards, which is exactly what I want. So a little bit of adjustments and re-welding, and that would be ready to go if I chose to do so. Lots more mud, as you can tell. This side is the one that took a lot of the abuse. I took a hit here, but there's the driver's door. Hopefully you guys can see how much farther in that is pushed. And it actually bent the door out. Luckily I welded it here, but this acted as a hinge and the whole top half of the door is peeled out. And this chunk is pushed in. As you can see, it used to be pretty well flush from wheel to wheel, and it's in a good 6 inches from where it started. So that's I consider that a pretty significant amount of bending, considering it was my driver's door, and I'm just happy that all my welds held up good and that I stayed safe. This is a good testament as to why you guys should always put a roll cage in your vehicle for Derby. But if you look at it from this view, you can see how twisted and messed up the body is. Not too happy about that, but you know, stuff happens. And continue around. Front end, once again, held up great. My plan was to use the back end for the beginning and then use the front end at the end, kind of finish off the other vehicles I'm racing against, but fortunately didn't get much of a chance to do so. Let me give you a good peek of the front here. As I already showed, this side is pretty well pushed in from where it started. All the ignition stayed where it needed to be, but if you can see, I don't know how well you guys can see how far that driver's side is pushed in. It was never meant to be that far in. It actually bent my floor patch up and into that crease. Maybe I'll get you a better view from the other side here. Alright, so I'm in the driver's side now, just kind of poking through the window. But as you can see, that cage, right where this plate was straight down when I started. And you can see how far that came in. A good, at least from this view, that panel came in a good 6 to 8 inches, if not even more, just by looking at it from where it started. I had a lot more foot room than that, because right up in here, that was straight down, and that's how far that panel got pushed in. And I was just lucky that I moved my feet to that side, because I did have my foot right in that corner where it folded. I'm happy I moved out of the way. But as you can see, my floor patch there was straight and is now bent right down the middle and folded in the corners. So, and it pushed the door right up against my seat, pretty much. So, happy that this bar here was well welded, and even broke this weld, but tore the door skin up in here that I had some of the metal welded to. But luckily all the welds held, and this took all the abuse from that hit. But still trying to figure out exactly what happened. But as you can tell, this cage was not that close to the steering wheel before. I had a pretty significant gap, I thought, a good ½ inch, and it's sitting on the steering column now. And what that did was I believe, I'm going to try to fix this here very shortly, but as you can see, the linkage to the ignition is actually up in here. Maybe you guys can see it there, that rusty rod is the linkage that you turn the ignition key and you could actually start it. Just due to time, I was constrained and had to leave the standard key in. I just put some string and put it in place so it didn't go flying out. But I was not accounting for the roll cage getting bent down because of a driver's door hit into that linkage, keeping this from turning. It is locked solid, so I was not able to restart, and I still have not been able to restart it. But I do have a couple nuts here on the bottom of the steering column. I'm going to loosen those out, try to drop it down, use some spacers, and that way I can drive it around and potentially race it again. Still not sure what I'm going to do there. I'm seriously considering selling this because we just are running low on storage space here at home. So if anyone would be interested in racing this at the Bash for Cash or a similar event next year, send me a message. I'd be happy to maybe work out a deal with you guys. Or if you know of any other derbies coming up in the next month or so that would allow this to race with mini trucks, I won't race it against a full size. I'm not going to do that. But if you guys know of any other places I can race it with similar rules to Smash It show, pretty much fairly limited welding, but some reinforcing, let me know, because I might be able to bring this out to your event and put on a show for you guys. So I'm going to get to work here making some repairs, try to get the truck to run again. And if that's the case, I'll be making a video shortly on it driving around the yard. So until the next video, I will talk to you later, guys.